What's up, everyone? This is part two of the special tournament that is ongoing. Torrey Pines here. As you can see, we are setting up for the back nine. So if I was to go to the standings here and go to my card, on the front, we played all nine. We got 14 under. Gave you guys some really good shot tips, a variety of different balls, and everything that you need to execute the shots over here. If you do have a brand new account, keep in mind you're going to have fixed bag on this tournament. You're going to have fixed wind. So if I go into that tournament real quick, let me just kind of show you what we're talking about. Like I mentioned, these are fixed clubs. So you guys are going to get an exclusive look at all the cool stuff. So look at the max bag that we're doing here. Fusion 7, Hellfire 7, Lightning Rod. Some of this stuff I haven't even played. So kind of first look at this for me. And we're just kind of getting a first exclusive look, just kind of giving you guys an example of what is possible, especially as you progress those accounts. So hopefully you guys like this game and some of the things that you're seeing offered. Like I mentioned, this is a one-of-a-kind exclusive tournament. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, brand new players, it's okay, even if it's your first day in game. I do want to show you guys, if it is your first day in game or the first week in game, from the home screen here, one of the things I wanted to show you guys. So up here, close to the settings bar, you'll see a little megaphone. Click on that megaphone. Go to enter promo code, click on the code and put ZAC22 in. Once you hit submit, you're going to get free balls, you're going to get free clubs, you're going to get free in-game cash, even if this is your first day in game. Keep in mind, this is only a promotion for brand new players. So hopefully you guys have an account that's less than a week old, but if you're just getting off the ground, you don't want to miss this opportunity. You know, this promotion won't last forever, but you know, it's going to run for an extended period of time. So let your friends know if you guys don't mind. The success of this and future tournaments is basically kind of dependent upon how this one runs. So if you guys are a huge fan of this, don't, be shy about reaching out to your friends. Reach out to the group. One of the things I wanted to show you on Facebook real quick, Ultimate Golf Game Group, the admins, Hip Games, they're one of the major contributors to developing this great game, Ultimate Golf. And they firsthand, they kind of run this group and they always check up with the feedback. So if you guys do like this format and whatnot, definitely, throw them a shout out, whatever. I'm sure they'd like to hear from you guys, see some of the feedback. So don't be afraid to join this group and, post some of the positive things, because if we want to see, tournaments like this in the future, it's kind of dependent upon, how this one ran and, how successful we were able to run this. So big shout out to those guys for putting this on and allowing this to happen, because this is a really once in a lifetime opportunity to just be able to check out and do some cool things that no other game has, that I've ever seen done. So hopefully you guys appreciate what you're seeing here. One of the things I wanted to also show you is down in the store, Guides for Ultimate Golf. That's what we're going to be using. This is the app right here. You can see I have it overlaid on my screen. Of course, I'm on Android. That's the only reason I can run an overlay. But here you can see I'm using pop-up mode. And I just kind of have this jumping up and down on my screen. But this is what we're going to be using for exclusive ring information, as well as it has a variety of additional tools that are basically for you players and developing players. So if I was to go into the top here in the guides, these are all the latest videos to help you guys succeed, especially get you new players off the ground. So all of these video tutorials that you're seeing right here at the top are some of the most exclusive, most premier, best information for new players. Down here at the bottom, you'll see, a whole bunch of different places, but one thing I wanted to point you to at the bottom on the help section here, there's going to be some community buttons. If you guys don't mind following, kind of pointing people to my Zachary Jones channel here, and you can see, this is my Ultimate Golf channel hub. If you don't mind subscribing, passing along that information, it's right there in the help section, as well as finding stuff that you need to know about how the wind calculator works, how meshes work, stuff like that. So do check that out, and we are going to continue on. If you guys didn't see part 1, there is a part 1 video. The easiest way to find that will be in the guide section in the top here. So right at the top here, recent guides, you're going to see that first part 1 video. So without much further ado here, let's go in. We'll go and jump in, play some holes. Hopefully we can get you guys a nice little guide here. The goal here is to get you guys off the ground, understanding the mechanics of how this game works. Like I mentioned, if you know other friends who could benefit from playing this game and messing around with things, I would definitely appreciate if you guys can pass along that information. We are going to get this one off the ground here. Use something to the effect of a spider or Mojave ball. I'm going to try to keep this in play if I can. A lot of slope on this fairway. So for instance here, if I was to go, you can see this is a 9 wind, about 8 rings. Keep in mind, you guys are going to have very similar. This is fixed bag, so you guys cannot switch these clubs. You have to use these. But they're really exclusive and clubs that you've probably never seen before. So a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you guys to check this out. I'm going to go very modest with the spider ball and just kind of using just a little bit curl, trying to keep this in the fairway. As you can see, it's a little aggressive up the left side, but we should be good. So one thing we didn't get to use on the front was this hive. I set up to use it and was just a little short. And here you can see we're going to be right at the max line, so this is a good opportunity to show you guys how this club functions and behaves from the very first look. Now, one thing that I do have created, and I would encourage you guys to maybe do something similar, just kind of gives you a good, you can see hive scaled 8. So you see I just turn on that mesh there, and this is the Guide for Golf companion app. It's free for Android users. You can set up grids, custom grids. iOS, unfortunately, you can't. But one of the things that I just wanted to kind of show you here is if we were to set up, it just kind of shows you the max full span. So it just kind of shows you that window, which is the full span. And since we're going to be coming in a little bit, we'll use that to our advantage. We're also got to keep in mind some wind effect. So you're going to see that I keep the ball guide kind of intentionally short, knowing that it's going to stretch out because we have a tailwind. Now, let's say we have a 9-6 wind. We have max club. It's telling me about 22 rings. So it's a very substantial ring adjustment. A little bit tricky to get this one to fall. There's a couple different ways to play it. Another thing we could do is we could use a top spin model. Now, just for control purposes, that's the only reason I'm playing it this way, because I want to kind of control the backspin. But of course, you could also go up front here and use the top spin. We'll do that later on this side. So I'm going to play this one backspin just so you kind of get a feel here. But one of the things that is the accepted way to play these, since we're using the backspin model, 9-6, 22 rings. Let's just say I was reduce this down 21-6 to a 3% ball, which is what we're on. So that's pretty close to the adjustment, somewhere in that somewhere in that range. It's very close. Keep in mind we are going down towards 90% club a little bit more, so we might need to under adjust. So here's 20 rings. And let's just resize and just look at this just to see, because it's such a large ring adjustment. Here you can see this is maybe even in the 80s. This is like 86% here. So this is going to be a better estimator for a true shot percentage. So here it's telling me 86% is about 18 rings. But keep in mind I've gone about 20. So maybe this is just a tad heavy, just a touch. So I've already adjusted 20. I'm trying to kind of split the difference. You got to do some kind of, ideally you keep the wind real small here so you don't go from 100 to 86%. That's going to be the best way for you to bring in precision here. But let's just say right up here, right around 19 rings is about 90%. Let's just say we're right around here. And let's just give this a go. Just see what it looks like. So I pulled back in one ring. And as you can see, it's coming in pretty good. Let's see if it still backspins. Nope. So you can see, even with that ball guide, it did not backspin, but it was a little bit heavy on the adjustment, even at 19. We still needed to come in just a touch. But one of the things that you also notice is it actually landed just a little bit long as well. So what you needed to do is keep that ball guide just a little bit shorter than what you saw mine. So if you saw where I initially set up, it's a little bit long on the ball guide. But even 19 rings in that situation, 90% was just a little bit heavy. So some important things to note there. As you can see, a lot of ring movement. A lot of ring movement causes for a little bit of difficulty of play, but it's definitely something that you can master. As you can see, even, with just that one-time situation, of course, you're going to have fixed wind. If you wanted to do another replay, you're going to have a much better wind than me, and you might even be able to get the drop. So you can even do a correction on what you saw that I did. So it gives you that opportunity to get that drop there. So let's keep rolling here. One of the things I want to show you here is the Hellfire wood. Here is the Fusion driver. Why don't we just keep this spider here? Maybe just a little bit of right spin. This is the min line. So keep in mind we're going to be pulling up from min. Maybe that's what? A ring and a half for min. Maybe we'll pull up just a tad bit more than that. So why don't we do something like that, which is about 2 rings for min. So 2 rings for min. 3% club. Fusion driver, you can see what the ring span looks like. 2 rings for min, which is going to be down here. 15 for max, give or take. That's a good estimation. 9.3 on the adjustment. 7.9 for the adjustment. So 7.9 here. So that's about what we're looking for. So why don't we flip this screen here. So there's 7 rings. Keep in mind the full grid is 10 rings. So that's right around 7.9 right there. Let's just see what this looks like. Like I mentioned, just trying to give you guys a good feel. So you see how I adjust, and you can just make slight tweaks. As you can see, just a bit long, but it's sitting right on the lip. Very nice opportunity for you guys to be able to get the drop there. You can see everything there looked real good. We played a really good ring adjustment. You can see the wind effect also very nice. And just one little minor tweak is all you need to do on that adjustment. So best of luck there, guys. Hopefully you guys can get that drop. We are going to look at this next one here. As you can see, a very nice front pin. And typically what I do on this is a lightning rod. Why don't we utilize one of our Pro D1 balls? We haven't used very many of these. I like to show, like I mentioned, I've been trying to kind of showcase a variety of balls. So you guys are seeing all over the map on some of the balls that we're playing here. So one thing I just want to let you guys know about is also, if you didn't catch the part 1, I know my lightning rod span is essentially 1 full screen. So you can see I was zooming out and I was doing 1 full screen. So we're just trying to stay in that 1 full screen. That's what you could see I was doing with the ball guide there. And of course, if we do a little bit of an overplay, it's not going to hurt anything here. Like I mentioned, we're just trying to keep from full max zoomed out. If you guys didn't check out my front, As long as it's in one full screen, we're going to be in lightning rod span. Now keep in mind, you're going to want to use Pro D1 balls here. 6.1, you can see a nice side wind, very close to almost perfect side. But let me just show you kind of what we're looking at here. So here's right where the pin is. So we pulled this shot off to perfection. You can see the pin is right inside one full screen. So we're going to pull down just a little. That's about 10 rings right there. We might come up just a hair. Maybe let's call this 8 rings for max. And I'm going to utilize and we're probably going to come in even more than that. So I might not utilize my full backspin because you can see it's kind of really checking up here. So maybe 7 rings for max. And you can see with what I'm doing with my ball guide, I'm keeping it, since you don't see that next bounce, I'm trying to keep it very tight here because it's really going to check up in a fast manner. So this is about 7 rings for max here. So 7 rings for max. Pro D1 ball. Make sure that you're using Pro D1, not a +7 ball. You're going to get a different, let me just show you the difference in adjustment. It's like a ring and a half. So if you're ever missing by a little bit, that's the reason why. Now in this case, we're going to be pulling off the green. It's actually maybe just a hair in the face here. But since we're pulling off the green, we might just slightly under pull. So if it says, let's just see what it looks like, but that's typically my strategy. That looks good there. This is 16. It's not too bad. It's not down in the sand or anything. It's about 16.9, straight side wind. Let's just give it a go. I think the wind's a little on the high side, so it might take some wind effect. Put the ball right in the center of that shot circle. Of course, you're going to want your ultimate shots. Let's just see how this comes in. So you can see it lands right on the cup. Oh, so just through the hole. So we actually caught a little bit of pin. We were maybe just a tad too aggressive. Maybe that was a little tailwind, or it landed just a little bit long because of the fact that we're pushing up to higher ground. So you can see, needed to just keep that ball guide a little bit shorter. But you can see my ring adjustment there, pretty spot on. So you can see all things considered, pretty good shot there. And we are going to try to go for this par 5. You can see a nice left pin here. So why don't we just use the Pro D1 ball again, just so we can get aggressive on this hole. I'm thinking something to the lines of this. We'll go full power. But you also see that I'm kind of feeding it back to the right because the pin's to the left. So we're going to try to create a nice angle into the pin. Of course, if we can utilize Hellfire again, that's kind of what we're shooting for. It's just a nice Hellfire into the green. And you can see the ring span with the Hellfire with the lightning rod equipped is going to be small. So a very small shot circle. So you'll want to try to avoid in between clubs if you can. But here you can see with what we're doing, we're close to the min line. You can see this is maybe about 2 rings from min. I mean, it's real close to min. And we're just kind of putting some left spin on here if we can. Like I mentioned, maybe 2 rings from min. Bringing this into the left. Something to the effect of this. It's about 4 bars to the left. You can see what my ball guide looks like there. Just a little bit short. I think it's going to roll out slightly. Let's kind of change this wind up a little bit, and we'll do 2 rings for min, which is about 4.5 for max. That should be good. 6.5 for the adjustment. 6.6. So just a little bit beyond 1 per ring. So 6.6 in this case. It's going to pull it very close to the min line. It just pulled into the min. So we might just kind of under pull this. Just kind of keep this just a little bit light on the adjustment. Of course, we're going to re-put all that backspin on. So full backspin, maybe 6-5 rings. But this just shows you, if you guys do use the same ball combination and everything, you can keep it just a tad bit on the short side. Here you can see very close. It comes in very nice. Just a hair long and just a little bit too much on the adjustment. So keep in mind, since it pulled exactly to the min line, just a hair on the heavy side. But a very good chance for you guys to get a nice holdout double eagle. So we were able to stay aggressive there, do a really cool shot. And let's just keep going. We're going to keep switching up some balls here, just kind of giving you guys a nice feel of what can be done in this game. Why not for this one? Why don't we just go try to do the Spectra, or it's not Spectra, it's Rattler. So you can see that line on the screen. That's going to be real close to Rattler line. So since we haven't done it in a while, why don't we try to do another Rattler shot? So we'll just try to keep it here. And for this fusion, so we're switched to fusion, +3, 9, 7, 5. So let's just give it a go, see what it looks like. I haven't used much of this Rattler, and like I mentioned, this is my first time ever even using this. I still don't even have this unlocked myself. But let's just give it a go, just so you guys can kind of see. And you can see this is maybe 5-6 rings from max, and we're going to keep that ball guide a little bit through the hole because it's going to collapse down because of the headwind. So you can see the ball guide through the hole. Now keep in mind when I give you ring adjustments, so if you look at, this is about 5 rings for max, this is the direction. This is pretty close to what we're looking at. 1310 for the ring adjustment. Keep in mind that 1310 assumes full backspin. Since we're not utilizing backspin, 1310 is going to be light. So you need to go more adjustment because the ring adjustment from this app assumes that you're using full backspin, meaning that the ball is going to stop abruptly. So in this situation, maybe we go even 14, maybe a little overpower, and maybe even a little bit beyond 14. Maybe even just tweak it up just a little top spin, because you can see it went all the way to the max line. As we mentioned, we're going just a little bit heavy, just a little bit too much. So maybe 1410, 1420 was just a little bit heavy. Should have came in and maybe just put a little bit more top spin. But you could see that it came in very nice, and the bounces, had the green not have sloped to the left, it would have rolled out much straighter and it would have actually went right towards the pin there. So the break in the green kind of caused that to kind of roll out the way that it did. But all things considered, pretty nice shot there. Here you can see a nice tailwind. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to take advantage of some length. So a couple different ways to go at this. I'm thinking, since I haven't, might not have touched loop much, we're going to do loop. We'll go back to the fusion, although I know I'm going to go pretty close to 1 per. So maybe about 10 rings in this situation. So we'll zoom out, 10 rings. Keep in mind, we're going to push all the way back up to max. So we'll straighten this up after we've adjusted. And then we're just going to push straight back up to the max line. Maybe some curl won't hurt us here. So just try to get that ultimate shot if you can. Try not to great ball to the left. With all that wind effect and everything, you don't want to roll out into the rough on the left-hand side. And you can see I still did. So I wanted to give you guys a nice hive shot here. But we rolled out into the rough, so we'll do it with Voodoo. It's going to be a very similar concept. So whether you're using Hive or Voodoo, one of the things I do want to show you, Hive, it does have a top spin. So look at this tight toggle. So you'll want to use this toggle, and you'll want to just kind of pull it to the percentage line. So utilize the top spin model because of the fact that you'll see that it factors in overplay. So you'll see the top spin model has more adjustment. In this situation, you'll want to use the top spin variant. Similarly with this, but it doesn't have a top spin model because I find this doesn't nearly have the wind effect with this Voodoo. But you want to try to avoid this left-hand side rough if you can. A little bit easier to control with, and there's also more top spin with the Hive as well. With all things considered, we should still be good. If you guys hadn't already seen it, I do have these scaled Voodoos and Hive set up. We're going to turn off our Hive and we'll use the Voodoo one in this situation. This does make adjustments just a little bit easier because what can you do? You could zoom out full to max and you could just kind of estimate and say, oh, wow, this is a little bit less than 20%. It's like right in here, which is just under the 20%. Like if that max span is 100%, this is just short of 20%. So what are you going to see? But you also see that I'm keeping the ball guide short because especially with top spin, it's going to roll out just a little bit excessive. So let's keep that in mind. Let me just get this back. As you can see, I lost it there. But like I mentioned, it's going to be real close to 20%. So let's jump in here and we'll do +3, 20%. It's about a 2.5 ring adjustment. It's going to be a real nice 2.5 rings. You see very small adjustments. Let me see if I can get that grid back for you guys, just so you can actually see my movement just a little bit more clear. But look how small this ring adjustment is. So being in the rough here, not too bad overall. I do want to just show you guys, there's my ring adjustment. Look at what it looks like in relation to where we are. It's a very small ring adjustment. And let's just try to go for that ultimate shot. It's going to be very critical. You do get just a little bit of extra tolerance. So if you do miss it, still a chance that you'll be very close. And as you can see, oh man, I kept it just a little bit too short. I expected it to roll out just a little bit more. In this situation, it didn't. Biggest reason is because it's so little affected by wind. So even 10% more, it probably would have made it to the hole. But because it was so small at only 20%, only 2 some rings, it doesn't have quite as much extra rollout. The Hive, might, because the top spin would have been a little bit more. So keep in mind that your Hive might have rolled out just a little bit farther than that did. But the Voodoo specifically, you can see it checked up very rapidly, not very affected by wind. The Hive is going to be more affected by wind than the Voodoo will be. But all things considered, not too bad there. And let's just keep rolling through here. I think usually I use the lightning rod here. So why don't we use something to maybe give us a very good aggressive pin. You can see this gets the wind down considerably. This is the max line right here. We're going to pull down. This is about 10 rings for max, maybe 9 rings for max. So let's just say we're going to use 9 rings for max and just pull this backspin down because we want to make sure that when this wind effect plays that the ball guide is going to stretch down naturally. So you can see that I'm keeping that ball guide short intentionally. Let's just call this 8 rings for max. And you can see what my alignment looks like. We'll go to the Pro D1 ball. 8 rings for max. .4 miles per hour and 17.5 on the ring adjustment. It's going to be a pretty nice estimation. So let's see what we can do with 17.5. There's 10 rings. We'll go another 7.5 for a total of 17.5. So let's just see how this ball guide stretches out, but also make sure that you're trying to land right on the front. And there you can see that, it stretched out, it made it to the hole plus some. That's wind effect. So keep in mind, wind effect, maybe just a hair on the overpull, mainly because of the fact that, you're pulling down so many rings. Keep in mind, the standard that I developed that wind tool on assumes that you're only going maybe 4 or 5 miles per hour. So as you go a little bit more, you kind of got to dial it back just slightly. But all things considered, really good, aggressive attempt. You should be able to really do some nice things with some of these clubs and really get some really good attempts. We're going to go to this 17th hole, and we'll do something similar here. So we're going to set ourselves up very similar to what you have already been seeing me doing. So we need to keep this inside one full screen. So you can see that I'm letting it roll out a little bit, but we're also going to pull for the wind. I'm going to pull about 9 rings here, give or take. We'll just do 9 quick adjustment. All we're trying to do is set ourselves up for lightning rod. So I can already get everything set up ahead of time. Even in my wind's going to be about this direction. So I'm just setting myself up for a nice lightning rod. So keep in mind that I'm being very strategic with my distance control. I may be getting just a little aggressive because I know that I'm going to need to pull my ring straight north. So let's count down from max. That's max line. That's 10 rings. Here's 20 rings. Here's 30 rings. But keep in mind that we're going to have to pull at least 20. So the fact that you leave yourself 30, and I'm also keeping this ball guide through the hole, let's just call this 31 rings for max. Let's just jump back in here real quick. 31 rings for max. $9.5, 20, 23.7 it's saying. And you can see I'm keeping my ball guide through the hole, especially for a 9.5 wind. If it was a smaller wind, I wouldn't be this much through the hole. But that's a contributing factor as to why I'm doing so much. So there's 10 rings. We're going to go another 10. And then still another 3.6. So let's just go right around here, see what this looks like. So just a little bit heavy on the adjustment, but you can see the ball guide collapsed considerably. So you can see it very much checked up, a lot faster than what you saw on the ball guide. Very holdable, really good opportunity. Keep in mind, if your wind's smaller, if you're using premium balls, you're going to be able to get that wind effect much less. So you can play that ball guide a lot less aggressively. So it's a much easier shot to make with like a 4 or 5 wind. So do keep all that in mind. This is another nice little pin here. Let's just go Mojave ball. We're going to go right around here. And we'll probably go about 9 rings or so over to the side and then put a lot of right spin. So not really much overpower. Trying to keep this in range if we can. Of course, you can go overpower if you want. I'm trying to avoid going in between clubs. I know a lot of times, especially on this pin, you don't need the most massive drive. And I'm trying to keep this to a nice hellfire shot if I can. So here you can see there's the max line on hellfire. Did pretty good overall. Of course, you want to land this on the front of the green if you can. That's about what, 1 ring for max. Let's see if we can do this. I'm not sure if we might need a little overpower. Like I mentioned, this is about 1 ring for max. We'll just kind of keep this ball guide aggressive through the hole, as you can see I'm doing there. Like I mentioned, 1 ring for max. Nine one. Eight 6-9. So huge ring adjustment. I'm assuming we're going to have to go into overpower. With overpower means we're probably going to have to over adjust slightly. So 8-6-9, probably going to be a little bit light. You go a little bit closer to 9 straight up. But like I mentioned, just a little bit of overpower. And this is to hopefully land on the green instead of the fairway. So that's the purpose of this shot. You want this ball to land on the surface that you start. And you can see I'm very close, just a hair too much. So maybe 8-9 in that situation. But all things considered, we left that in there close. Very good opportunity for you guys to be able to drop it. We use pretty standard balls here, nothing aggressive. Just wanted to, you know, have some fun with it. As you can see, here's my scorecard. Let's just see if we can drop this out, and just kind of take a picture of this. So you can kind of see what we're looking at here, -14, -11, but a lot of potential there. You can see we're very close on all these holes. So every single hole there on the back, we had a chance to make those. Every single one is right there. So if you guys want to play around with this and, you know, really shoot for like a really nice score and just kind of get a feel for what, you know, what is it like to play the best clubs. You have 5 replays that you can just kind of play it as you want, just kind of casually play. The rewards will be division based, so it will just kind of shift a little bit. But if you guys just want to kind of check things out and just see and get a feel for those clubs, since, you know, these are the clubs that you're working towards playing. These are the way that guys like me and the Tour Pro players, they play a lot of these strategic, you know, position shots, try to take advantage of nice high wind balls and really dial in those shots. So you can see I tried to keep this semi-casual for you guys, keep it an easy score for you guys to beat. If you are a new player, like I mentioned on the front end of this, on the front screen here where the settings megaphone is, where you see that megaphone promo code, ZAC22. Keep in mind you can only take advantage of this if you're a brand new account, so it has to be created this week. But if you don't mind, you know, passing that along to other new players, if you have friends that you might want to see check out this game, hey, you know, this is the first time that you're seeing, you know, you can play with a max bag. It's a real cool situation to kind of jump into this game and play for the first time. So, like I mentioned, if you guys don't mind kind of passing that information along and trying to get some interested players over here, we're going to try to do fun stuff like this all the time over here and get some real cool tournaments. So, hopefully you guys, you know, like this format. If you didn't, you know, see anywhere else in the Facebook here, Ultimate Golf Game Group right here. This is where the developers, they actually run this group and they actually respond to feedback and actually like to see what you guys have to say. So if you guys have some positive things to say about this and want to kind of check out, you know, their space there, we could definitely use some more, you know, strong players in this game and try to put together some real cool stuff for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tournament. If you guys, you know, haven't downloaded this either, this is in the Android and iTunes store. It's called Guide for Ultimate Golf. Of course, the guide section right here at the top, this is where you'll see all the latest content. So this is all the new stuff that I've created for you guys. If you guys are just getting started, this is going to be your starting point to really get off the ground and get running with that. So good luck with that. And then there's a bunch of other screens. I have a lot of content for you guys. If you guys can check out my playlist or run through these guides, you'll see a bunch of tutorials dedicated to kind of teaching you this tool. And of course, at the bottom with the help section, you know, setting up your bag, wind calculator, meshes. Over here on the online community. If you guys don't mind, subscribing, liking, commenting on this video, leaving me some feedback. Like I mentioned, we're trying to do more stuff like this in the future. So hopefully you guys like this format. If you do, give me a holler, a shout out. Also, don't mind, if you guys don't mind reaching out to that Ultimate Golf Game group and just kind of, passing along feedback that way, because the developers, they do like to appreciate seeing the community active, and hopefully you guys appreciate this format. Best of luck out there. If you guys need some additional help, holler at me anytime, and catch you guys later. Take care. Best of luck out there.